All right, I think I'm on. Hi, everyone. Hopefully, you can hear me. Uh, Anybody's here, then just let me know. Say hi. My name's Dina. If you don't know who I am, I'm the owner of Artistic Creations by Dina. I do YouTube videos and showing you how to create jewelry. So, hopefully, everything's on. I think my mic is on. It shows that it's on. So, hopefully, you can hear me. Still doing the newer setup right now where I have my front facing camera and then I have my phone doing this little guy down here. So things look to be a little bit better set up this time. So hopefully you can see it a little bit easier. I know 2 weeks ago it was kind of hard to see. So hopefully things are a little bit more close up down on the mat so you can see what I'm doing. Today will also be another tutorial day today. So I will be working on a project. And as I was getting ready for this, I didn't have a complete idea. I mean, I did have a complete idea, but I knew I wasn't quite sure if I'd be able to get the complete idea completed. That totally didn't make sense. But with that being the case, what I'm going to end up doing is showing you how to make the component. And then I'm going to come back and actually do an actual video, my actual tutorials that I do, and come back and show you how to make the necklace portion of it. The reason for that is that I'm not quite sure. I'm pretty sure we're going to have too many beads, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a little while. But I'm pretty sure we're going to have too many beads and that the necklace would end up being like a 28 or 30-inch necklace or something if we use everything. So I'm going to come back and do an actual video and show you how to do all of that. More than likely, we'll end up having to use a little bit of chain, also because just the way that the component looks and stuff like that, we'll probably need to do something slightly different. So I'm going to show you how to do the component here in a little bit. I'll first start talking about what I did over the last 2 weeks, which was not much because I was sick, unfortunately. I have allergies. I've always had allergies when I was a kid. And 2 weeks ago when I had live, I was talking at the very end of the live how I was not quite sure if I was going to have a voice by the end of the live. And it was kind of getting crackly and everything, and it just wasn't feeling all that great. Well, the next day I went back to work, had a really long shift, and I ended up losing my voice at work. And over that, the following day, I think was Saturday. Yeah, Saturday still wasn't all that great. I had a voice, but it wasn't all that great. It was very scratchy. Sunday, still really scratchy. Monday, I started feeling a little bit better. Tuesday was better. Wednesday was better. But I decided, okay, I'm just going to take the whole week off. I'm not going to record anything. Just, save my voice for counseling people at work at the pharmacy. So doing that. So that's why you didn't see anything from me for a week. I did finally get some videos recorded last weekend. And so I had one video come out on Tuesday, and that was the Beads of the Month tutorial for the 2-hole beads from last month, from February. So I try to get those out before the beginning of the next month, but like I said, I wasn't feeling all that great last week, so I really just couldn't record. It was going to be one of those not so great type of recordings if I did record. So, you know me, I like quality over quantity, so I would much rather have a better quality video than just produce videos like crazy and they not be the greatest. So that's why. So I ended up having the one on Tuesday. I also have one coming out on Saturday. Saturday is going to be using February's Bargain Bead Box. What was it called? Fairy Tale Romance? Yeah, Fairy Tale Romance. And that's the tutorial with that one. That one ends up being a beaded bead. So that one, I'll give you a little sneak peek on that here in a little bit so you can kind of see that one too. And then I have a second video coming out for Gemstone Orphanage's Australian Picture Jasper, their doorstep baby program that they have. And I have that one coming out a week from today at the moment. I want to do a video with Colleen's March drop that she did that has a bunch of green beads and it's St. Patrick's Day themed, things like that. I wanted to get one done there again last week. Didn't happen because I was sick. So I would like to try to get that one produced and get that one up by Tuesday, which is St. Patrick's Day. So hopefully I can get that one done. And then that's all I have at the moment. So got some other ideas, but like I said, I'll probably end up recording the rest of this video that we're going to do, show you how to do the component here in a little bit, and then we'll end up doing the rest of the video probably next Saturday. Well, that one will end up airing. What I'll more than likely end up doing this month is probably skip the unboxing videos that I do, so that way I can kind of get caught up and just do tutorial videos. So I know some people do enjoy the unboxing videos, but I think this month I'm just going to skip those, except for my Beads of the Month. Beads of the Month, they have asked me to do that on a monthly basis, so I'll still do an unboxing for my Beads of the Month, and then come back and do a tutorial video with that one too. So, but other than that, I think the other ones, like the Bargain Bead Box and my Sam's Bead Box, I think I'm going to skip the unboxings, and then I'm just going to go straight into tutorials. The other thing, the 15th is Sunday, I believe. Yeah, because I think it's Friday the 13th this month. So I'm pretty sure it's Sunday. So that will be the next Creative Color Challenge that will drop. So you'll have a week from Sunday to that following Saturday, the 21st, to vote and see which color choice that you would prefer videos and collections to be coming from. So that's going to drop on Sunday. So I've already got some projects already planned for that, and so this one's going to be a good one, I think, this month. It's really pretty, and both colorways are so much fun to work with, and so I feel like I would have a hard time choosing between the two colorways. I would have a really hard time choosing from between the two, so hopefully y'all are the same. But so while we're waiting for people to come in, let's see if I can get my computer to work here. Yeah, we've got a couple people watching, so hi guys. How are y'all? Say hi if you can. If you're not subscribed, then that may be the reason why you can't say anything in the chat. So go ahead and subscribe now, and then that way in the next time you come back in 2 weeks to come watch me, then you can chat along with me. I have it set up to where you have to be a subscriber for at least 2 hours. So that's probably the reason that if you're not able to type anything in there, that may be the reason why. But go ahead and subscribe, and then, stick around, see what I'm doing, and then come on back in 2 weeks, and then we can talk. So, all right, so I'm going to go down to the mat. Yay. Yeah, see how much closer this is? I think this is a little bit better than it was 2 weeks ago, because 2 weeks ago it was further away, and I felt like I just couldn't get it to focus, and then when I pick up things you can actually see what I'm doing. So this seems to be working a little bit better, but you can also see that my hands are so dry. So sorry about the dry hands. Excuse me. Sometimes I have lotion that I will use, but sometimes the lotion is just too much and things fall out of my hands and I have issues. So this was the only video that I had come out so far. This is the 2 whole beads of the month from February. So it was the collection of the ginkgos, the rula beads, the half moons, and then I used the two different colors of 11-Os, the pink and the green, and then the 15-O black-Os. Black-Os? 15-O black seed beads. So, and then we did the little component and going back and forth and everything with thread and needle. And then I just had a magnetic clasp that I had in my stash from Bargain Bead Box. Actually, Bead Box Bargain, sorry. Their sister site. And then I just used that for the clasp. And then during the video, I actually came up with, because I only did just 2 of these. I did 2 components just to kind of show you how many it is. Each component is approximately 1 inch in size, so it kind of gives you an idea of how many of these that you would have to make for your wrist size. And when I did just the 2, and then I had the clasp over here, in replacement of the 3, I was just like, wait, this looks like it could be a thumb ring. And I had put it on my thumb and it fit perfectly. And of course now it's a little bit tight, but it fits on other fingers. So that's an option for you too. So you can do something like that if you like to wear rings, and then you would have yourself a nice little ring. So like I said, these are about 1 inch or so in length. So this is this particular finger is around a 3-inch circumference, something like that. Hey Jenny, I just saw you. I've got you up in the background while I pack to go to Becky's. Awesome. So yeah. So that's what I ended up making. So that was kind of a unexpected nice thing. I don't make too many rings. Rings are kind of one of those things that I just don't make very often. So only because when I go to sell all my stuff, I don't want to have to make 10 different sizes of rings just because everybody has a different finger size and or different sizes that they want to wear on their fingers, different fingers and stuff like that. So I usually don't make very many rings. So that was fun. So that's the only video that I had come out so far. So I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek just because I didn't have very many coming out. So this is the one that's coming out on Saturday. So this is a necklace that you can't really see because I'm really close up this time. But this is a necklace using the Bargain Bead Box, the Fairy Tale Romance. And so I show you how to make this beaded bead. So this is the close-up of it and everything. This was fun. This was really fun to design because I started off with a almost completely looking design than this, and it just wasn't working out. I was trying to get these beads to work, these spacer beads and stuff like that. I was trying to get those to work and everything, but this is the actual beaded bead that I show you how to do, is this little portion. And then we string it on. When we string it on with the soft flex wire, then we use these beads that I was trying to get to work in there, and it just couldn't get it to sit right. And so finally I said, okay, you know what? I'm just going to do that. So that's the actual beaded bead that I show you how to do. And then I just attached, this is actually the bail that came on the Unikite pendant, because in this one we had the rhodonite pendant and then also Unikite. Well, Unikite came with the bail to it, but the rhodonite did not. So I just took the bail off the Unikite and put it on this one instead, and then that's how I attached it to there. I forgot to mention that part in the video, so you kind of know what's going on with that. And then I used the toggle clasp that came with the kit to make the necklace. So that one's coming out on Saturday. And then this is the project that I did for Gemstone Orphanage using the Australian picture jasper. Excuse me, picture jasper. Man, I can't say that today. So it's using a right angle weave unit again, and then we just kind of embellish it. So we start off with the double raw, one of my favorite stitches, as you probably know, because I use that quite a bit. And then we move on to the bigger beads, the 4mm 6, and then the 8, and then we embellish as we're going, and then we decrease after that. So most of this is actually from the kit, and the only things that are extra are the thread, of course, the seed beads, the wire guards. Everything else came in the kit itself. So that one's coming out a week from today. So with all of that being the case, this is kind of what we're going to make today. It's going to be something similar to this guy here. I started playing around with it, and I did this one first. So this little guy here, and then was like, okay, well, I'm going to make this into a necklace. So I did this nice little stringing portion here to see what it would look like if I strung two together and then continued on around here. Well, after I got the second one done, I was like, okay, it looks kind of nice. It's, but it wasn't quite, it felt like it needed something else, something different to it. So I decided to put a second round of square stitch, a second round of square stitch around it. And then I thought, you know what, we can connect it through here. So I'm going to show you how to do all of this. And then I thought, well, that would look kind of neat as an earring. And I had one of these little sections hanging up from up here at the top, and it just wasn't sitting right. It kept twisting, it kept turning, and it just wasn't sitting right. So then I came back and I was like, okay, let's make this little picot look right here. And then that way we can do a picot look on this side, a picot look down here at the bottom at the same time. And then we can attach things with either jump rings or chain, or you could just move on to the next one if you just want to continue on with thread. So it's one of those versatile little things that you can do. So this one's using the beads from this month's Bargain Bead Box, which is, I don't have the paperwork in front of me. What is this one called? It was the name on my picture. Something about the sun. Hold on. No, that's not helping me. Picture, March 12th. Turn on. That one. Here Comes the Sun. Sorry, I couldn't remember what it was called. So it's called Here Comes the Sun. So that one So that's this month's Bargain Bead Box. So we're using the 8mm shaded pink aventurine beads, which is bag number 3. You get 15 inches of this one. So we're using, right now I only have just a couple of colors sitting here, but you can actually use any of the colors. I have, I think I need to go back to the front facing again for a second. And then this is a picture of the beads themselves. So this is how I spaced them out, because I noticed that there was different shades. Obviously there's different shades. That's what the bag says. So, but I spaced them out to where you have the lightest right here. And then I hope I can get this to move. Yay. No, not that. I need to move the picture. There it is. Okay. So we have the lightest shade right here. And then this one's slightly darker, which is about 9 beads or so, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. So each section was about 8 to 9 to 10 beads, something like that. And then this one was slightly darker. And then you have this one that's even darker than that. And then that's the one that I'm using right now, is this darkest strand, because I think this one had the 10, 4, 8, 10. Yeah. So this is the one that I'm using the 10 strands out of, or the 10 beads out of. So that is what we're using, is these guys. So hopefully that didn't cause anybody to go seasick just then. Here comes the sun. Yeah, I know. I couldn't think of it. I was like, what in the world is this thing called? I love it when you get block like that in the middle of talking and stuff like that. So this is what we're going to use, is those guys. We're also using these guys. And they are the 5.5mm crystal faceted English cut crackled round beads in light topaz AB. So you got 7 inches of that, and of course I usually take them off of my strand and just hold them in the bag to store them that way. So we're going to use those two, and then the seed beads that we're going to use, the 80 seed beads. This is one of my favorite colors. So if you're ever wanting to do any of videos that are similar to mine, I will use this color quite a bit. This is 80. It's Mayuki's number. Of course, I don't have it written down on the little tube that I have. It's 2021. So it's 2021, but it's called Matte Opaque Cream. And it's one of their 80s. As you can see, I have 2 tubes of this. And then I also bought a, I think 125 gram bag of it recently from another company too, because I use it so often. I'm like, I might as well just go ahead and get a big, huge bag of it. So those are the 80s that we're using. And then we're going to use 2 different colors of 11s. So this one is I don't have the exact name sitting in front of me because it's just on, I just have the number 1902, but it's like a silver lined matte, more than likely silver lined matte gold is more than likely what it is, but it's Mayuki's number 1902. And then the other one is Duracoat galvanized gold, and that one is 4202. Yeah, 4202 is that number. And so that one's just the Duracoat galvanized gold. So those are the 3 seed beads. So what we're going to do first, okay, make sure this is the thread that has nothing on it, because I have 2 needles sitting here. I want to make sure I grab the right one. So we're going to pick up a stop bead first. I'm going to use one of the 80s because we're going to use this 80 in the project. So a stop bead, you just pick up one of the 80s, pull it down to the end of the thread until you have enough to comfortably hold on to, and then go back through that bead one more time. And then that puts your bead down at the bottom of the thread. So that way when you string on things, then things won't fall off. Then you pick up one of your pink aventurines. And doesn't matter which color. Like I said, I'm starting off with the darker color ones. And then when I come back and I do the actual video for the necklace, I'll explain why I have everything all situated out. Because I want to do a variated. So I want to start off with like lighter colors, I think, around the edge of the neck, and then gradually get to the darker colors down at the bottom, and then go back up to the lighter colors. So you'll have lighter colors over here at the edge of the neck, and then it'll go down to the center where it has darker colors. So, and that's why I'm like, I'm not quite sure how many of these we're going to use in a necklace. So that's why I'm going to come back and do a video for it, I think. So I'll show you how to do the component on this one. So after you have your 8mm on, we want to add 8 more of our 8/0 seed beads. So it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we're going to go back through just the 8mm. And then when you get all your beads down there, we want to also go back through that first one that we added. So that way this bead sits on top of the 8mm aventurine, similar to the stop bead over here. Now we're going to add 7 beads on this side of the component. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we're going to go straight back through just the bead, just the aventurine again. And I'm going to go ahead and come out the 8/0 on the other side. So I'm skipping the 8/0 down here in the bottom, but I'm coming out the one on the top. And so that gets our beads in a circle around the aventurine. So now we're going to do square stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go towards the left of where I'm sitting right now because that was the first strand that I added on. You can absolutely go to the right hand side if you wanted to, but that's the strand that we just added, and I've found in the past that sometimes my tension is not as great if I start with this strand, that sometimes things get too loose. So I'm going to the one that I started over here instead, that I did the first one. So I'm just going through that first 8/0 seed bead that's over on the side of the aventurine. And I'm going to square stitch that one on with another 8/0. So pick up an 8/0 and then just go straight through that same bead. I'm going to go ahead and proceed on to the next bead. And then when you pull this down, that should sit the 8/0 that you just picked up on top of the 8/0 that's already around the bead. So we're going to do that all the way around. So we're going to add 7 of these. So I know Jenny's here, and I'm not quite sure. We've got 5 people watching now, I think. So hello to everybody. Just trying to fill in space now of talking and things like that, because it's going to be, just watching me bead for a second until I can get to the other side. So Jenny, it looks like you are traveling to your sister's soon, so I hope you have a safe travel. And say hi to Becky for me. I have a few places that I'm traveling to here soon, but they'll be at the end of April when I do an event in Bryan College Station. It'll be in Bryan. I'm so used to saying Bryan College Station because that's what that area kind of is known as. All right, so once you get over to the 7th bead over here, now we're sitting back over here to where that stop bead is. Now I'm going to go straight through the stop bead, the aventurine, and the 8/0 that's on the other side, so I can get back over here to this side and then do the square stitch on that end. So I'm going to go straight through like that, and then making sure that my thread doesn't wrap around anything else. So once you're over here off to this side, this is the other thing, I keep going way up here. I got to get used to that. So once you're over here off to that side, then we're going to go through this bead, just that first one, and then we're going to square stitch this guy on, and then proceed on through the next bead at the same time, just like that. So we're going to do this around. Then we're going to come back and we're actually going to put a second round of these beads on right away as well. You can absolutely do the second round at the same time if you wanted to. There again, it just depends on how well you feel like your tension is going to be. It's like I know my tension well enough to know that sometimes I get really loose with my tension if I'm recording, because I'm not able to hold on to things in the same way as you would as if you were doing the project yourself. Usually a lot of people will have their beadwork sitting right in front of their face type thing. Well, when you're recording, that's kind of hard to do. So you can absolutely do both rounds at the same time if you want. I just know my tension's not going to be the greatest if I do that. So now I've got the 7 over here off to this side, so I'm going to go straight through those 3 beads again. The 8-0, the aventurine, and the 8-0. Come out the other side. Then I'm going to go through those 7 beads one more time, adding another square stitch into that same area. So just go through that first seed bead there. So we're still going through that same round. So just go through that first seed bead. And when you add this one, you're going to square stitch this guy on. Proceed on through to the next bead. Then this one will sit in front of the first one. So this is the first one that we added. This is the one that we just added. So it sits in front of it now. So now it's just the same thing all the way back around again. And this part gets a little bit more difficult because you have to make sure that your thread is not wrapping around any of the other beads. That's the only part that is hard about this section, is that you don't want things wrapping around each other. And I'm throwing my beads all over my mat now. Uh-oh. And I just got a knot. No. Alright, let's see if we can get rid of that knot. So whenever you get a knot in your thread, you just want to be gentle with it and try to see if you can get rid, just kind of tug on it a little bit and see if it'll come off. Because sometimes, all the time, it's just your thread wrapping around itself too many times, and it just creates a knot that sometimes all you have to do is that, and then it comes out. So now it's out. Okay. Now I need to make sure that I didn't wrap around anything while doing that. There we go. Cool. Alrighty. Let's see if we can try not to get another knot. Those are always fun to try to get out of. And then sometimes the knots just won't go away, and you're just stuck with a knot in your work, or you just burn your thread off and tie that portion off and start again, basically. Sometimes you have to do that. There's been times I've had to do that. Alright, so this is the last one on this side. Alright, double checking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. When I did my first one like this, I skipped one by accident. So I had to go back and make sure that I had it in there. Okay, there we go. So let's get these 7 beads on this side. And then that way we can start doing the next step. This is the part that's kind of fun when I'm doing lives, is trying to make sure that I'm talking enough. So that way people can watch what I'm doing, but of course I'm doing kind of a repetitive step at the moment. But trying to keep things engaged at least is the fun part, because I am not one to be a talker. So this is kind of almost a difficult thing for me. I am actually one of those type of people that was always in the back of the classroom, would always, cringe about being called upon in class, and never wanted to answer and stuff like that, because I was always afraid I'd say the wrong thing, even though I knew for sure I knew what the answer was, but I was still afraid that it would come out funny and people would laugh at me and stuff like that. And now here I am 40 years later, and I'm making YouTube videos, and I'm doing a live that can go pretty much worldwide. So go figure. How things change. All right, so now I finished both rows. Make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we counted that one earlier. Okay, So there is our 2 rows of our square stitch on there. So now we're going to pick 1 row. I'm just going to go to the back side here. So I'm coming out of that 8-0 that's here at the top. And all this thread right here is about to get covered up by beads. So most of that you're not going to be able to see. So I'm going to go through the back side 8-0 here. So we're going to be doing the same thing on this stitch, or this portion also on the front side. We're going to pick up our silver lined matte bead, and then we're going to go straight through the next one. So just make sure you're on the back side of these 8-0s. In fact, I'll probably just flip it this way so you can see what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm saying do the back side. You can just flip it in your hands, Dina. It'll make it a lot easier. Then pick up another 11-0 and go through the next one, and so on. So you'll have 6 of your 11-0s sitting there. And then when you get to your 6th one here, where you'll obviously have a nice large gap. Whoops, that's number 5. 1, 2, 3, no, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. There we go. So now you have a nice large gap in between the 2 arms that we were doing. So that is where your English cut bead comes in. So we're going to pick up one of the English cut beads, and we're going to go straight from the same round now. So make sure that you're on the back side, the 8-0s that are on this current side, and we're going to go straight through that one right there. So that's the only thing that you have to make sure is that you're on the same side of your 8-0s. And then continue around to the top. And just flip it into my hand so it's easier for me to bead. It's easier for me to bead on the right hand side when I'm doing stuff. Oh, well, thank you, Jenny. I appreciate that. Yeah, my very first video I did, Jenny, for Potomac beads. Oh my gosh, I was so scared. I just couldn't get past the fact of, oh my gosh, everybody in the world can watch this. And I was so scared. So I eventually got over that. And then now I'm to the point where I can actually talk to people outside of being in a pharmacy. Because it used to be that if I was behind a counter, I was fine. I could talk to people. So, if I was at work, I was fine. I could do, no problem whatsoever. And then, but you get me out in public, then I would be the quietest person ever. Even if I knew you, I would still be quiet because the other people around me, I didn't know. And so I was still extremely shy. Still kind of am that way still a little bit, especially with, events and stuff like that at my daughter's school. So sometimes I know some of the families there well enough that I'm like, hey, how y'all doing? And I'll walk up to them and start talking. Other times I'm the quietest one in the corner, and that's just kind of me. And so I've gotten better with it over the years, but it's still a work in progress. So I picked up one of the other, another one of the, what is this? English cut beads. Then I'm going to go straight through this one again on this side. So this is where you can kind of use this as a gauge if you wanted to. You can do this in a couple of different ways. I'm going to go straight through just that first bead. And then I'm going to move down, not going through the 11-0 here. So I'm going to kind of go in between the beads here, in between the 2 rows, and I'm going to get down into the first row that we did. Can you see that? Sort of. But I'm actually, because this is the 1 row on the top, this is the 2nd row on the top, and so I'm going through the very first one, the first 7 or 8 beads that we added on the first row. So I'm basically square stitching, I'm just following the thread path and square stitching downwards. And then that way I can go back up through this one and then start adding my gold silver line beads on this side. So that way you have the gold silver line on both the front and the back. So we're going to add in all of these 7. And I've got another knot again. There we go. It can be pretty scary. I enjoy seeing you in a live. Oh, thank you. The less scripted format helps your personality come through more. Yeah, I feel that way too. Because sometimes there's, I want my videos to be, nice videos. I want them to be kind of professional. So being able to do the live, I'm able to kind of just be like, okay, this is how I am in real life. This is what you get. Whether you know me, here personally, or if you know me through at the pharmacy, it's like this is how I am. This is how I am at pharmacy. This is how I am at home. All of that. So once you get around to this side up here, when you're up to your English cut, just go straight through your English cut because you already have that one sitting there. So that way the English cut gets set in between the two rows. And then go through your next 8-0 seed bead and add more of those, of the 11 O's on this side. So yeah, it's one of those things that I think I enjoy doing too. When I started doing videos and stuff, I think I started in 2021 for Potomac beads. It was either 2021 or 2022. I want to say it was 21 though. Anyways, it's been several years. When I started doing them, I had no intentions whatsoever of doing lives. And now it's just kind of fun. It's different. All right. So now we're back over to the other side and then go through your English cut again. We just need to make sure that we connect this 8-0 seed bead to the English cut as well. So that way everything is connected. And now the two English cuts sit in between the two square stitch rows. So there's that side and there's that side. That's what it looks like this. And you can absolutely leave your beads just like this if you wanted to. I felt like I wanted this to look more like a sun, since that's what the name of the kit's called, is Here Comes the Sun. So I decided to do this instead. So I'm going to proceed through the 11-0 gold bead that I'm coming out right next to the 8-0 right there. And then I'm going to square stitch on one of our Duracoat beads. So this is the solid gold bead. Going to square stitch that guy on. And then I'm just going to do that all the way around again. So I'm just doing this on the one side. And then we're going to do something slightly different with the Duracoat beads, with the solid gold beads. And come on now. And doing it this way, you use up a whole lot of thread. It's like pretty much the thread that I started off with was a wingspan. And technically a wingspan of thread is about the height, approximately your height. And I'm somewhere around 5'4.5", something like that. I don't know. So I usually say 5'4". So 5'4" or 5'5". So one way or another, it's about 60 inches or so. So once you get over to this side, just go straight through your English cut again. And then go through the 8-0 and the 11-0 on this side. And then do your Duracoat beads on this side as well. And this I've already used up probably somewhere close to half of it so far on just this one component. So it's going to use a lot of thread. This is going to be one of those components that you're going to have some thread on hand in order to do it. Alright, so I need to drink some water here in a second. I'm going to get to the end over here and then I'll get some water and then show you the next step. I was going to have coffee again today, but I've already had 2 cups of that, and I don't think I need to get a 3rd cup. I need to sleep tonight. I need to go to the pharmacy tomorrow. Alright, so give me a second. Let me get some water. Alright. Hopefully you didn't hear me gulp a bunch of stuff just then. If you did, I'm sorry. All right, so now what we're going to do, we have the Duracoat Gold over here off to the left. We want to get these beads to be connected to the right-hand side. So I'm coming out of the English cut bead right now, so I'm going to go through the 8/0 and the 11/0 that's on the right-hand side. And we're a little out of focus. There we go. So I'm going to kind of flip this a little bit so it's a little bit easier for me to hold again. So now we're coming out of that 11/0 on the front. I'm going to go from the right to the left through the gold seed bead. And then, as you can see, when I pulled it down tight, it makes it sit kind of in between the two silver line seed beads. So now we need to get ourselves over here to do the same thing with the next one. So we're coming out of the left-hand side of the gold seed bead. So we're going to go from the left to the right through the silver line gold. And in doing so, you can always proceed through your 8/0 and get to your next gold bead right away too, just like that. And during the video that I make, I'm probably going to reteach this. Excuse me, pardon me. I'm probably going to reteach this. And then for those that are having a little bit of difficulties, because I'm probably going to do it a lot quicker than what I'm doing right now. But for those that are having difficulties understanding, then they can come back and watch the live and get a little bit more information. So if you're watching the rerun of the live, and this will be the part that you'll be looking at to see how to do it and everything. So we're going to go through right to the left through that bead again, the next gold seed bead, pull it down tight, and then go from the left to the right of the silver lined. And then when you do that, just make sure your thread doesn't wrap around anything. It puts your gold bead in between. So we just do that all the way around. And then we're almost done with our component after that. We have a few more things we have to add. So I'll probably do, what time is it? It's 2:42. So I already have another component started over here because I tried to get one done before I went live, and I got about halfway done. I got all the 8/0 seed beads on there, and I had to stop after that. My daughter and I on Thursdays usually watch Star Trek, and today was their season finale for Starfleet Academy. That's their new show that they have out. And she wanted to watch that. It's her spring break this week, so she's home right now. And so she wanted to watch that. So I took a break and spent some time with my kiddo. And we watched some Star Trek. So there's that one. So once you get done with this on this side with this number 6, then you go straight through the 8/0 and go ahead and go through the English cut again. And if you can get through the 8/0 and the 11/0 on this side, then you can go ahead and do that too. And then you just start doing the same thing on this side. So, but yeah, that's typically what my daughter and I do on Thursdays. So it's always nice when I have to work on Thursdays. I come home and my daughter and I will sit down and start watching Star Trek and everything. So my husband, on the other hand, is not really a Trekkie fan, so he's just like, oh my gosh, y'all play that show so loud the whole neighborhood can probably hear that you're watching Star Trek. And both my daughter and I said, well, I don't care. It's like, I like to watch it a little loud. It's kind of fun. It's like, I like my Trek. Leave me alone. My parents started me on Star Trek at a young age. We were watching reruns of the original series. And then when the next gen came out, that's when I really fell in love with Star Trek. And I've been watching them ever since, so. Alright, so now we are done with all of the square stitching, all of the beads around the actual bead. And it's, somewhat resembling a sun. It's not exact, but, it's close enough. I think it's kind of cool. I'm liking it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put that little picot around the edge. And this is pretty simple. So we just go straight through, whoops, the English cut. Don't catch on to any seed beads like I did just then. So just go through the English cut there. And then we're going to put a little picot around it. So we're going to pick up 2 of the silver lines, 1 of the gold, 1 of the 8/0s, a gold, and 2 silver lines. So those are the beads that I have on there. And then I'm going to wrap around this. And then that'll put those beads up at the top, just like that. I'm going to go through those beads one more time though. I like to have 2 thread paths through beads, especially if I'm going to add either jump rings or if I proceed on with thread and needle. And I'll show you how to do that during the necklace tutorial, to give people options that if they don't want to use jump rings to attach units, because my thought is to make a bunch of units and then attach them that way through jump rings through the 2 8/0s on either end. So at least that's my thought. I don't know if that's what I'm going to still do or not, but we'll see. So now you have to kind of figure out, all right, we're up here. Now you have to kind of think, all right, so I'm coming out of that English cut bead up here, but I need to get down here so I can do the same little picot stitch down here. The easiest route is to just go straight through if you can, but that's not how our thread paths have been going. Our thread paths have been going around these 8/0s and 11/0s around the edge. So you have to kind of think, okay, so if I go from the left to the right through this 8/0 right here, then I can go from right to left in that original row of 8/0s, so the one sitting right here, and then that one gets you sitting right next to this bead, to where you can go straight through, come out, go through this bead right here from right to left, and then square stitch up to this one going left to right, and then you go through your English cut bead again. So it's one of those things you just have to kind of follow your thread paths, figure out what's going to be the easiest thing to do. Another thing you can do is just go straight through some of these beads, come out over here, and then you're done. So you can do that too. I'm just trying to make it to where you're not using up as much thread. So if you do it that way, you're going to use a little bit more thread than if you are going to go weave yourself around this way. So it also kind of just depends on what is more comfortable for you. If you're new to bead weaving, it might be easier for you to just go straight around the beads like that. But if you're more of a bead weaver like me, or you've been doing it for a while, then I like to try to save thread wherever you can, to make it a little easier to come back and not have extra thread on hand. And yeah, I've used up well more than half of a wingspan, so it's more than 5 feet of thread right now that I've used. So following that particular thread path gets me back over here. And then now I add the 2 11s, or really the 3 11s, the 8/0, and then the 3 11s again. So those are the beads again. Haven't watched much of the newer series, but I've watched classic, a bunch of the movies, and TNG. Becky is big Trekkie though. Yeah. One of the first times I saw Becky, when it was just one of those days that I was flipping through YouTube before I started doing my own channel and stuff. I was flipping through YouTube and I'm like, okay, I want to find somebody else that's new. Somebody, or at least somebody that I haven't seen before. And I saw her stuff and I clicked on one of her videos, and I thought I had seen her tattoo, but I wasn't quite sure what it was. I didn't see it for like real understanding of what it was and everything. So, but I liked whatever video it was. I think it was one of her organizing videos, what she's known for. And so I was watching that one. So I watched another one. And that video, she did this to where she showed her tattoo there. And I was like, oh, that's the Enterprise. And I'm pretty sure that's when I hit subscribe. So yeah, I was like, yep, I think I'm going to like her. But so yeah, I'm not as brave though to get a tattoo on me. I've wanted to get one before, but I have not done so yet. I used to play soccer when I was younger, so I've always wanted to have a soccer ball on my leg where my shin guards would be sitting, you know, something like that. So, but I am not brave yet. I have not done it yet. My husband just rolls his eyes every time I talk about it. I, I call it to her all the starships she's loved before tattoo. Yeah. And then I think she did a video, maybe was that maybe a year ago, where I think there was a viewer that was upset or something that she had all the tattoos, which I think is kind of silly, but you know, that's just my opinion. You know, everybody's got their own opinion, and so she did a video talking about her tattoos and what they meant to her and stuff like that. And I really appreciated that one too. So that was nice to know the story behind it all and everything. So that's pretty much what the component's going to look like, is something like that. And then so it's a two-sided component. So that way when we have it on the ear and it flips around, then you'll still see more stuff on the back. So kind of neat. Same thing on the wrist if you wanted to do it as even just a single like this, and then connect some chain on either end, something like that, which that might be what I do for the video too, saying, you know, hey, this is how you can do that, and then we can connect with other things. You know, it's fun. I think this one's a pretty good little thingy. I like it. She has a Klingon weapon on her wall. Oh my gosh. Is it a batleth? That she calls her wall of intimidation. If she has a batleth, oh my gosh. She's like become my new best friend if she has a batleth on her wall. Alright, so now I'm getting back to where my starter thread is at. And sometimes I do this and sometimes I don't. Can you see that? Yeah, you can see where that first little loop is of the thread right there. So I'm going to take that out. And then that way you don't have a loop around it. But my two threads are now sitting right next to each other. So now I'm just going to tie a knot. And then I'll move away from that knot and burn it down. And then our little component will be done. It is. Oh my god, that's cool. A geeky freak out moment here. That's pretty cool. I like that. If my sister were watching, she'd be saying the same thing. That's pretty awesome. So she's a big Trekkie too. So we all are. My whole family is. Except for my husband. When my mom was still here, she was right along with us, watching the videos, or watching the shows and stuff. Oh, now I have an upset kitty cat outside my door. That sounds like Cosmo. I think Captain's put up. I think Michaela put Captain up. I haven't heard him cry at all, so maybe, hopefully they're not sleeping out in the living room, because sometimes when Captain falls asleep out in the living room, if whoever's watching him falls asleep too, there's a mess we wake up to. Yeah, I texted my sister right before I came on and said, hey, I'm going on at 2. I forgot to text her this morning, so she may be busy doing other stuff or taking a nap herself, So that's our, whoops, that's our little component. Almost looks like a crown too. So, okay, cool. So there is that. And then this is how far I got with the other one. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that one real quick. And then that way I can have a nice little pair of earrings. And then hopefully be on. So that way if people come in a little late or anything like that, then more than welcome to say hi. Whoops, I'm so not doing this right. I'm not following my own instructions. Alright, so where am I at? I am there. How did I do this? If I am down there. Oh, I went back through the bead. That's what I did. Okay. I see what I did. I don't know if I can get back through that. All right, so this is going to be just makeshift. We're going to go like this to get the other end. I went back through the bead, and when I was teaching it earlier, I did not do that. So I'm going to just go through that first row of beads again just to get back down here at the other end. So if you are watching the rewind of this one to try to get more ideas, I would just do it the way that I did it the first time rather than doing it this way, because this way we'll use up a little extra thread again. All right, so now I can square stitch my way up here to get to the outer row to start adding the 11 beads. So this one I'm just going to go through a lot quicker because pretty much the same steps that I did on the other side. So I have, yeah, I've got some English cut still out. That way you can kind of get an idea of how quick it is too, because it's actually a really quick earring or component. I keep saying earring because that's what I'm going to make right now, but it's a really quick component to make once you get the stitch down. If you're new to bead weaving, square stitching is actually one of the, I felt like, more simpler ones to start off with. The only thing that was frustrating to me, if you're new to bead weaving, so it might be frustrating to you as well, is your tension. Only thing I would say with that is just try what's best for you, because a lot of times whenever I'm working close up, I'll do this. I'll wrap my thread around my finger, and then that way there's a lot of tension sitting there. I'll pick up the bead that I need. I'll go through the bead that I need to go through. Keep the tension there until it gets to, where it's tied around my finger, and then let go. So sometimes that will help keep your tension a little bit more tight. I try not to do that too much while I'm recording, only because that kind of covers things up sometimes. But then other times you'll see me do that just because I know I'm going to have to put my finger there in order for it to look right. All right, so this one is where we have to go through here. And then I need to go down and square stitch down this row, down to the bottom row, and then switch it to the back, and then come back up this row here. So it's just one of those spots where you have to just kind of think about it, troubleshoot where you're at, and figure out where you need to go, and then follow your thread path to get to the spot that you need to be at. Oh, now it feels like my nose is running. Great. These darn allergies. Hopefully the weather was good to you over the last few days, Jenny. I'm not exactly sure exactly where you live, but I know the general area where Becky lives, and I know there's some not so great weather the last few days. It came through the Houston area yesterday, and I'm pretty sure it was just a lot of wind and a lot of rain. Oh, that might be my husband. Okay. Yeah. So that was my husband. So we'll be done with this here soon, and then I'll answer that text. But luckily it was just a little bit of wind and rain. Well, okay, a lot of wind and rain, but nothing severe in my area, at least. All right, kind of making that a little tighter. And then now we're going to square stitch on these guys. And then we'll come through the other side and connect these beads to the other side. Whoops. Come on. There it goes. And I just realized I don't think I have any ear wires out. Oh, yeah, I do. I have some. They're just stainless steel ear wires. I don't have any gold ones out right now. I forgot to get my ear wires out. So, oh well. I'll put them on stainless steel just to show you what they're going to look like, and then I'll switch them out to gold later. Get those out later. Because those are on the other side of the room. This is not a huge room, so it's not going to take me forever to get to them, but just the fact of the matter is, I did not prepare to get to my earrings out correctly. We had a good rain a day or so ago, but the cold north wind started yesterday. Yeah, that hit us today. It's been really windy, so everyone has been kicking up in there. Yeah. Yeah, everything. Yeah, not everyone. Yeah, I figured that. Yeah, it's been quite windy. I actually have one of my jackets sitting on the back of the chair right now because I've had the jacket on all day. Because I try not to. Both my husband and my daughter are very hot natured. I am very cold natured. I guess is the right way of saying that. No, is that the other way around? They're cold natured. I said that backwards. They're cold natured. They like the cold. I like the more warmer weather. Whenever we go on vacation, we like to go to Colorado, and I'm usually freezing my you know what off. So I'm very much a warmer weather person. Although I love going to Colorado. I love seeing the mountains and I love being there. So I'm not going to miss that for anything. But I'm just saying that if I had a choice of where I'm going to live, I'm probably going to live down here in the South. I would prefer the warmer weather. Now, when it gets to be 100 degrees and 100% humidity, because I live along the Gulf Coast, not so much. That's a little too warm. But if we didn't have the wind today, it would be perfect because I think it's 73. No, it's not even that. It says it's 65 outside right now. So if it wasn't so windy and making, the wind chill making it cooler and stuff like that, it would be absolutely pretty. I mean, there's like barely any clouds in the sky. It's like other than that, it's if I knew how to get all of my contraption outside to be able to record outside, I would be doing that too. Other than it's too windy today. I wouldn't be able to do that because of the wind. Everybody would be hearing wind and nothing else. But if I can ever figure out how to get this outside and it be a good quality video, then I may do that. My husband says I'm kind of silly doing that. He's like, that's never going to work. I'm like, okay. He knows it a little bit better than I do because it's not exactly what he does for his job, but it's along the same lines. So he kind of knows a little bit more about the way different sounds are and different environments and stuff like that. So, whoops. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, making sure that your thread's not wrapping around your beads. Especially when you get down to the end of the thread, it starts to get a little bit more harder to get around the beads because it just wants to connect onto everything. Let's see. Yeah, this has taken me about, I think, 20 minutes or so to finish the other earring and then this one. I don't remember if I started this one at... No, I was still on this one. I was when it was 2:42. When I said 2:42 because it's now 3:04. So it's been 20 minutes. So yeah, each earring is going to take about 20-25 minutes or so to make. Once you got the hang of it, or each little component, and then hopefully I can get this video recorded over the next couple of days and come back and show you how to put it together into a necklace or anything else that you want to make. Bracelet, another pair of earrings, whatever the case. All right, so now we're around this. We're going to add our picot around the English cut. And then go back through those beads one more time. So that way you have 2 thread pass through that. Had a 10-minute conversation outside with a neighbor yesterday, and it left me with my ears hurting so bad. Oh, I know. Yeah, it was awful. I get the same way with cold air in my ears. When I was younger and played soccer, there were times that I was in so much pain afterwards that I really didn't say that much to my parents because I was just like, I didn't want to complain about it because I wanted to play soccer. So I didn't say that much about it in the past, but my ears would have been burning. And it's because of the cold air. All right, so I'm doing the same little turnaround thing. There again, you can always go around straight around these beads right here and then start again. I just feel like this isn't going to use up as much thread, so whatever you're more comfortable with doing. And then my starter thread is actually down here where I just left, so I'm going to have to come back through the bead again one more time. And that's because of me going through, I can't get through that one, going through the bead at the very beginning when I was trying to figure out what I just did. But at least if something like that happens to somebody else, if they end up going through the bead a couple of times and they have the same problem, then they can kind of get an idea how to fix it. Alrighty, so this one is almost done. Then I gotta find my jump rings. Alright, so there's that. I'm gonna go through that bead, go down this one, and then go through this and the aventurine, and then come out the seed bead because that's where the starter thread is going to unwrap at. If I can get it off. Sometimes you pierce the thread by accident, so if you try to do this and it's not coming off, then just leave it alone. Just leave it sitting there. Most people are not going to see that, and they're not going to notice it. I just like to take it off if I can. Alright, so tying this off. Whoops. Well, maybe. There we go. I kept trying to go in an opposite direction. I kept dropping it. Alright, so there's that. And all I'm doing is just going straight back through the beads again, so that way the knot can kind of hide in between one of those 3 beads, the seed bead or the aventurine. And then burn these guys down. I love my new thread burner. This is the Beadsmith Thread Zap. It's one of them that you can plug in to a USB port. It makes it so much easier. I don't go through so many batteries and things like that anymore. Being primarily a bead weaver, this is like almost a necessity, is to have a thread burner of some sort to make things a little bit nicer. Ends and things like that. But I have to be careful because holding a pen or a pencil or anything like this is how I do it. And now you can see how much shaking I'm doing at the moment. And that's me medicated too. So, whoops. And then I'm dropping stuff. So, that's always the fun part. So I move those guys out of the way. Move these guys out of the way. So that way we can see those 2 components. Those are really cute. I'm really happy with this one. It's working out pretty good. Alright, so I'm going to use, what are these? These are, where did I get this from? BB Craft. Yeah, I got this from BB Craft. And yes, they are a China company, so I do get a few things from China. The majority of my stuff I get stateside, which sometimes still comes from China, but I get a lot of my jump rings and ear wires, clasps, things like that. I will try to get from BB Craft, just because I can get it in such a large bulk like this, and I think I only paid like maybe $2 or $3 for this thing. So it's one of those things that I don't spend a whole lot of money at that with that company, but I like to try to get some things from them sometimes. So, and then this is just ear wires sitting around that I think are from, yep, Bead Box Bargains. So it says ear 92. I don't think they have this one available anymore because this was a stainless steel one and it's got the little wire and stuff on it. But I'm going to switch these out to gold ones here in a little while anyway. I'll have gold jump rings and gold ear wires. That will go with the project a little bit better. Alright, so when you're putting the jump ring on, I always suggest to go through the 8/0 first. It's just a lot easier to go through your 8/0 first. And when you're doing earrings like this, it makes it a little bit easier that if you're trying to go through one of the 8/0s and you're just having a hard time, you know, whether it's the thickness of the jump ring, sometimes there's the extra coating in the 8/0, something like that. When you're doing earrings like this, you always have this one as an option. So you can always try to get that one on there instead if you're having issues with it. Whoops. Wait, where's my... That was done right. Okay. Because I actually have the knot on this side. So the other side's going to be the front. Come on, close up. And this is the part that's really, really hard, is to not throw your jump ring across the room because you're trying to close it up and it's stainless steel and sometimes they don't close very easily. So that is the first earring. So that's the only other thing. If you're doing earrings, you just want to make sure, or even necklace, doesn't matter, whatever you're making. See, I've got the knot on this side again, so this will be the back. You just need to make sure that your ear wire is facing in the correct direction, which would be this way. At least that's probably the easiest thing you can do. If you put it on backwards, just take your ear wire back off, whether it's through the jump ring or through the ear wire, and then just switch it around. I guess that's the easiest thing to do. Alright, so there is our cute little pair of earrings that I have no idea what I'm going to call them yet, but we'll figure that out when I do the necklace tutorial. So more than likely the necklace tutorial, I'll go through this component one more time. It'll be a lot faster, and then I'll reference this live so that way if somebody needs a little bit more information on how to make the component and stuff like that, then they can come back and see and watch and stuff. But we'll go through the component, and then I'll probably show how to do, I'll probably already have the bracelet made maybe, and then I'll show how to make a necklace, because I'm almost pretty certain that we're going to use the chain that came in the kit. This is the stainless steel curb chain that came in the kit. So I'm probably going to not use every single one of these beads, and I'll just do a certain amount in the graduated colors, and then come back and attach it with the chain. So more than likely that's what it is. We'll find out. I'll come back and I'll do a video on that. So alrighty. So I've been on for a little over an hour now, about an hour and 15 minutes. So I will be back in about 2 weeks. So yeah, Thursday, 2 weeks from now, which is 14 plus 12, 20, no, yeah, 26. I do know how to do math. Okay, so that was a little embarrassing. So yeah, 26th I'll be back on 2 o'clock, same time, so 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it. And Saturday I'll have the Bargain Bead Box coming out. Tuesday I'm going to try to get Colleen's video recorded this afternoon. And then next Thursday, a week from today, I'll have Gemstone Orphanage coming out. And then hopefully a week from Saturday, I'll have what we just did just now as a complete set. So hope to see y'all over the next couple of weeks. And if I don't, then I will see you in 2 weeks. So bye guys. Y'all have a good rest of the day.